Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at how you solve quadratic inequalities. And I'm going to jump straight in and start with this problem that you can see on the screen. What you should do when you're trying to solve quadratic inequalities is first actually change the problem slightly and consider what happens when you set the quadratic equal to 0. Now this is finding the roots of the quadratics, and these are going to be critical points that we need to solve our problem. How you go ahead and solve this equation is up to you. So you could use the quadratic formula, or you could factorize. I will go ahead and factorize. And when you factorize this, two numbers that multiply to give 8 and add to give -6 is going to be -4 and -2. If you do struggle with factorization or using the quadratic formula, I'll link a couple of videos down in the description that will help you. So once you factorize it, you can tell that actually either this bracket here is equal to 0, in which case x is 4, or you have the case where the second bracket is equal to 0, and so in that situation, x is going to be 2. Now, once you've got the roots here, what I would strongly recommend you do to stop yourself from making a mistake is to attempt to sketch the quadratic. So you look back up at the inequality, and this is actually a positive x squared, so a happy graph. And then the roots are 2 and 4, which are both positive, but it doesn't really matter how accurate your sketch is. It's more to see the shape. So I can put in the roots here, 2 and 4. Now I need to decide if you are looking at the positive solutions or the negative solutions. And to do that, we look back up at this inequality here. Now I want to know when the function is less than 0, so i.e. negative. So what that means is you are looking for the x solutions that give you a negative y value, which is below the x-axis, these. So you can see actually to get these negative y solutions, you need to be between 2 and 4. And so we're going to set up the inequality like this. You start off with x, it is going to be more than 2 and less than 4. Now you could, in some situations, be asked for your answer in set notation. If they don't ask for it in set notation, you are done. This is your solution, finished. If you are asked for it in set notation, then you can go ahead and write the inequality the same as you did above. And all you need to do is lead with an x at the front and then a colon for x such that, then the inequality, and you need to put a curly set of brackets around that and you're finished. Okay, on the other side of the screen there, I've put up another inequality that you can have a go at yourselves. So if you'd like to, grab a pen, grab some paper, pause the video and see if you can get to the correct answer. Okay, so if you did try that, here's what your solution should look like. So you set the function equal to 0, you look for the critical points, which you get 4 and 5, and then you are below, we have a less than 0, so x is before 4 and 5, and then finally there it is in set notation. Okay, let's look at a different sort of problem. So we're going to start this in exactly the same way. I'm going to consider what happens when this inequality is equal to 0 to find the roots of the function. Now again, I will factorize this. You could use the formula if you prefer. So two numbers that multiply to give -5 and add to give -4. It's going to be -5 and +1. And so if this bracket here is equal to 0, x minus 5, then I must have x being equal to 5. Or if this bracket is equal to 0, we have x being equal to -1. So these are the roots of the function. Again, just check back up at the quadratic. It is a positive x squared, so a happy graph like this. And then I have one negative root, one positive root, so it looks like so. This one at -1, this one at 5. Now, if you go back and look up at this quadratic again, actually, in this case, we have a quadratic being greater than 0. So I want to know when the function is positive. Greater than 0 is positive, so we want the positive y solutions, which is going to be above the x-axis here and here. So actually, these are all the solutions, x greater than 5 or x less than -1. And so this is how we're going to write the two inequalities. I'm going to say that x is less than -1, and then I literally just write or x greater than 5. That is the solution. If you did want the set notation, this time it's a little bit more complicated. So here's how we set it up. We start off with some curly brackets. I write x such that, and then I'm going to write this first inequality. x less than -1. And now I close off the curly brackets, and then the or part is actually the union. So you write the union like this would be u, and then some curly brackets, and then I'm going to write the second one, x such that x greater than 5, and now I can close that set. Okay, on the screen again, you have another one that you can have a go at. So pause the video and see if you can work with this problem as well. Okay, so if you did try, you should have a solution that looks like this. So the two solutions, x is 5 or x is -2. And then we are above the axes, we want positive solutions. So this is the inequalities you should get to, less than -2, greater than 5. And then if you've had to go the set notation as well, it's like this at the bottom. Okay, looking at a different sort of problem. So here, in this case, I actually have a -x². Now I don't like that -x². You could go straight into the consider part and find the roots, etc. But actually what I would prefer to do is to change this straight away and get it positive. And to get that x² positive, I'm going to take the left-hand side times by -1. I'm going to take the right-hand side and also times by -1. So times the left-hand side by -1 just has the effect of swapping all the signs. So this will become positive, that will actually become negative, and then the 10 will become positive. 0 times by -1 is still just 0, so that will not change. But actually, when you times an inequality by -1, this sign will also flip. So whatever that is, we need to write it in the opposite direction, and then that is just 0. Okay, once we've done that, what I'm effectively going to do now is actually ignore this problem here, and I'm going to just focus on this. This is my new problem. It's exactly the same. That's the one I'm going to solve. Once you've got it in this format, we can follow exactly the same process as we did for the previous questions. So I'm going to consider when I have x² minus 7x plus 10 equal to 0. I attempt to solve this. I will do that by factorization. So I have x minus 2 and x minus 5. If this bracket is equal to 0, then x is 2. Or if the second bracket is equal to 0, then x is 5. Once we have the two roots, I look back at the problem. Again, I'm only working with this one in the box now, so I have a happy quadratic with roots at 2 and 5, like so. And then I check back at the problem here. Greater than 0 means that I am actually above the x-axis, positive solutions. So we want these and these. So this is when x is less than 2 or x is greater than 5. And again, if I wanted that in set notation, that is x such that x is less than 2, union x such that x is greater than 5. Okay, here's another problem for you to have a go at. So again, if you want to, grab your pen and paper, pause the video and see if you can have a go at this question. Okay, if you have tried, it should look something like this. So you multiply the whole thing by -1. Once you've done that, you're focusing in on this problem here. If you manage to get the 2 and the 6 in the correct notation like this, or the set notation if you went that far, then very well done. If you didn't, then feel free to pause the video and have a look at that in detail. Okay, I have one more problem for you to do. I actually think that you have all the skills needed now, so feel free, pause the video, see if you can try this one by yourselves. It's slightly different, and then in a minute I'll put up the answer. Okay, so here's what this last problem looks like. Again, because this is negative, you're going to multiply everything by -1. Then we are just focusing on this problem here. The roots that you should get to are 2 or 4. And then you're going to sketch the graph. We are below the x-axis in this case because this is negative, less than 0. And so therefore you're looking between 2 and 4 as the final solution. Well done if you managed to get that last question correct. If you did find this video helpful, then please give it a quick like, as it will help other students to find it like yourselves. And I hope you all have a great day.